Is Fyre Festival 2.0 coming?
I mean, it has to. It's going to be called Fyre Festival 1.5 because the first one was only half done. And that's why I called out Ja Rule to an MMA fight. I propose that 50% goes to restitution and 50% goes to the Bahamas. It'll be fun as hell.
Where's the camera? You got to do it. I want to see the fight.
Netflix mentioned that they tried to reach out to you to be part of the documentary, to have your voice in there. Was that true?
Yeah. And actually, I agreed to give them footage in exchange for giving 10% of the proceeds of the film back to ticket holders. They never did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they use the footage anyway. And I have to sign contract. That would be great in a live event. Like, pull the contract out. Like, here, motherfuckers, go fuck Jerry.
Guys, we're in New York. We're here. We're ready to get this going. Billy, welcome to the first ever show of Creator Street, man.
Thank you, guys. Welcome to New York.
Awesome.
Thank you.
What are you guys doing tonight? How long are you here for?
We're here till tomorrow night.
Okay.
Short trip. We're in and out. Flew in yesterday.
Cool.
It is cold in New York.
It is. Yes. This would usually be Bahamas season if I wasn't banned. So I'm trying to survive in New York as well.
When are you good to go back? Do you know?
So trying to get everybody there paid back, and that's the most important thing. Yeah. I was offered a fight on Barstool Rough and Rowdy against Ja Rule to do it, but he's been ducking me on the call out.
Ja,
so,
come on, man.
I think like he can put one night up and do the right thing and try to pay some people back. So guys, please call him out and like let's do the right thing here and make this go.
Yeah. Well, if Ja doesn't work, we're close with Jake. So if you want to fight Jake, we can do that one as well.
I don't want to get killed. So Ja Rule's a good warm up, but no, tons of respect for Jake and would never box against him. He's amazing.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. Well, we kind of want to dive into a lot of things. There's a lot we want to talk about, but really where we want to start is like, tell us who Billy is.
Yeah. When
the cameras are down, when you go home, who is Billy?
Yeah. So unfortunately, filming a documentary right now, and the cameras are rarely down, and it's super fucking frustrating. So they're here right now. So feel free to give her shit as we go on today. But yeah, I'm just like an entrepreneur who really fucked up, and I kind of got lost in my own shit, thinking that the only way to really succeed and live life was to make my ventures work, and to do that, just started lying and got in over my head and just totally messed up. So now it's like the ambition and the fire, is still burning, but how can I do it the right way and just build something and make an impact that a lot of people use and benefit from? Yeah,
that makes sense. And for those that don't know, I mean, walk us through what Fyre Festival, I guess, was supposed to be. Sure. In retrospect, if everything went well, what was Fyre Festival supposed to be?
So literally just met this guy who worked at Google, who showed up at one of like the member hangout spaces for my like black credit card company called Magnesis. And he convinced literally the check-in girl. He's like, hey, I'm a pilot and I need to take Billy to this island. He's going to love it. And she calls me. He's like, I don't think this guy's lying. He's like super smart. And like something like doesn't add up, but I think it's real. So I show up a couple weeks later. We're like running out of gas on this small propeller plane landing on this remote island in the Bahamas. And it's like totally fell in love with the natural beauty. And it was almost like this ultimate playground. And just naturally started bringing the most interesting people I met in New York to the island. Like I would go and meet someone crazy. And like my immediate pitch was like, hey, just come to the Bahamas with me. I have like access to this incredible island. And that was my way into just the rooms with just incredible people. And over the years, it grew up into like what Fyre Festival was, at least like with the launch announcement. And then obviously like the massive failure that happened after.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and obviously the documentary on Netflix, Fyre Festival, covers like all of that. Mm-hmm. Have you watched it?
I haven't. Okay. I think I'm gonna do a launch like what's it called, like a watch event soon, where I like live stream myself, maybe on like Twitch or YouTube. Drinking some tequila and like watching both documentaries, and seeing what all the emotions are. But I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. Well, I guess from your perspective, what kind of went down, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was that kind of story?
So it really just kind of came down to like terrible management decisions. A lot of issues, but like just like loved being surrounded by a lot of people, and just like hired hundreds of employees. So kind of like woke up one day and payroll is many millions of dollars a month.
Right.
We have 4 months to execute this festival after we announced it, and it's like was spinning around, just trying to get the capital, get the talent needed. But at the same time, there's like hundreds of kids running around me just like partying in the Bahamas. So it's kind of wild.
Man, that's crazy. How does that feel? Because obviously we have our company. I mean, we have 40, 50 plus employees.
Yeah.
And obviously
Amazing.
that takes it's stressful at times, right? But
It sucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it does. Yeah.
It's the most expensive cost to
Yeah.
most companies, right? So how does one take in, that maybe whether the revenue's coming in or not, how does one feel when they have all that going on, right? When they have millions to pay, there's payroll's coming up. What does that make you feel?
I think desperate, right? And I was super young. I was like 24 when the announcement went live, and I couldn't zoom out. And my entire thought process was, everybody's relying on me to make Fyre succeed.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, if Fyre failed, honestly, it wouldn't really have hurt anybody. Like, the investors, this was, a small check of many for the majority of them.
Yeah.
For the employees, we had done so much right, the honest way. Like, they could have gotten credit for the marketing campaign and like various other things that we had accomplished. And they probably all would have found like great opportunities next. But I couldn't just zoom out and realize that like life didn't mean, success of the Fyre Festival. And like at the end of the day, a festival just isn't that important. But
Sure.
I made it more important by the lies in the wrong way.
So now that like everything has already happened, it's been years since.
Yeah.
At what point would you have realized like, shit, I need to take a step back and like, or like, if you were to go back and live it again, right? You're in the same situation, right? Same staff, same crew, whatever it is. At what point would you have realized it?
Yeah, that's super interesting. I think there's this mindset where you need to do crazy shit to go from 0 to 1 in life, right? Like no one is going to put you on, like as they say. That is up to you to get super scrappy and just like do wild shit that no one else is willing to do. But once you get there, it's time to step back. And like that's why some of like the wealthier families in the world are super, super conservative, because that's what they have to be once they've, accomplished that first step. So I think that all the crazy shit I did that led up to the announcement was great. It was like maybe gray area stuff that I would never do again in my position now, but like I had to do it to become like what the announcement was.
Yeah.
But as soon as we announced it and woke up the next day with millions of dollars of tickets sold and like the who's who of talent backing this, that's when I should have been like, okay, like we have pushed the limit far enough where we're on the map, but now let's take a step back and get some real help and do this properly. So like, that's the moment where I would have switched from aggressive, crazy, like naive kid to, all right, how can I become a businessman and protect, what we've tried so hard to build?
Yeah. And I think like throughout everything that was happening, do you think there was a specific point where like you could have done one small tweak that would have changed everything? I know people mentioned like having the cruise ships. I know people, I don't even know if anyone ever mentioned like just pushing it out, to more months in the future.
Well, I mean, I think that was a great idea, like what was going on in your mind when he gave you that cruise ship idea and you were like, I think you even like let him go, at least according to the documentary. What happened there?
So I think like getting back to the first question, just pushing the festival back would have, we'd probably be on the island right now having this podcast. Right. So that would be way different. Hey, maybe we'll get back there in a year or two. But timeline was the biggest thing. We actually did get a cruise ship. It was relatively small. I think it was a few hundred rooms, and we just used it for employees. We just had so many people to house. It just became like a never-ending problem at that point. Yeah. But I was like so wrong to realize, like I thought the whole world was waiting for this April festival. I'm like, shit, I have 4 months and nothing can stop me.
Right.
And like, if in reality, if we pushed it back another 8 months and had a year to do it, we could have done it, and no one would have cared. I just like couldn't get out of that way.
That's interesting, because in the on the documentary, they position it as if the festival has to happen on that date. Yeah. Where in like if it doesn't happen, it's almost like you're in trouble with the investors, or any other people that were involved. Was that not the case at all?
No, I think it was like me just thinking that my life is more important than it really was, and like we always think that our problems are bigger than they really are, right? And so in my head, it's like I need to become the man by April. But like in reality, if we said, okay, guys, we need until December, no one really like. Sure, we might have had to refund 100 tickets, but like that would have been a much, much smaller, manageable problem than trying to execute an event in 4 months in the middle of nowhere.
So that makes sense.
Because the cruise ships, like that sounded like an awesome idea to me. And I don't know if you saw like EDC. They're doing a new thing. It's like EDC, but instead of the C, it's SEA, like C.
Oh, really?
They're doing a cruise, and I think they are stopping in the Bahamas.
Oh, really?
I heard it sold out in a few minutes. Too.
So it's like
really, I didn't know that. I'll check it out.
I don't know exactly like how they're doing it, but it might just be one cruise ship, but it's like 4 days or something like that.
They had reached out to us like a month before.
Really?
Being like, how can we like get in and help you guys? And we kind of like blew him off. Met with him like once, I think, after, and it's like
Really?
nothing came of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just didn't
Dang.
know how to get help.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What was Fyre Festival was going on? At what moment did you realize that hey, this might become a mess? Because on the documentary, I believe it was Andy
Yeah.
is talking the whole time that he never once saw you stressed, never once saw you worried about anything until like the final day,
Yeah.
right? So when did you maybe start to feel that, oh shoot, this isn't gonna come out the way
I need to do that launch, like that watch party, because like this is my first time hearing these details.
yeah
Dude, I was super stressed. Like, I got fat as shit. Like, I was having heart issues. Like, I was a fucking mess.
yeah
I think I was like really good at, I guess, mediocre at hiding that
yeah
and trying to keep the team motivated. But I legitimately thought, like, up until the night of the festival, that it was going to totally work out. I'm like, the island is beautiful.
yeah
The artists are actually paid, which, I'm happy to get further details on. We have like the hottest girls in the world coming. Like, this thing is going to work.
yeah
Yeah.
I
And
just,
I mean, like me as a leader, it's like I feel like I understand, because if you show stress, what's your team gonna think?
For sure.
So it's like you had an accomplishment by April. I have to accomplish this, and if you show that you're stressed, overwhelmed, what's your team gonna think? And I think that's why they had so much confidence, and maybe it actually went against you, because there's so many times that they wanted to like back out, but it's like, well, Billy's a genius. It's like he's the smartest guy in the room, so
Yeah.
if he's confident, I'm confident in this, and they mentioned that several times in the documentary.
Interesting. And I think, like, just thinking now, I think you need to have that confidence to like do anything crazy as a leader. However, you need to have the ability to deliver bad news too, right? And like,
Yeah.
if I was honest about the news but still like steadfast in my confidence, I think I would have attracted the right help and not fucked up. But as soon as you lose the confidence, everybody backs out, right? Like,
oh yeah
pick any like crazy startup founder. As soon as they start questioning their own business, they're going to lose all their talent. So you need that talent,
absolutely
but you need to be able to say, like, guys, this isn't working. It's going to be okay, but we got to figure out a solution. And
absolutely
I just like didn't know how to basically compartmentalize that confidence. I just applied the confidence across the board. When a problem came, instead of recognizing the problem, I just said, oh, it's fine. Like, we'll figure it out. And like, didn't dedicate the resources or ask for
Sure.
the help to figure it out.
yeah that makes sense.
So the internet right now sees you as a con artist,
Yeah.
a fraud, right? And I know, at least according to the documentary, you're very like, your goal was to be the entrepreneur, right? The next come up. How do you feel about all the news and the press of, and what everyone thinks of you?
Yeah, so it's been a weird journey. I was like 6 or 7 months into my jail sentence when the documentaries came out. There had been, pretty large media coverage before that, but that obviously took it to like the next level. And so I was like shielded for a couple of years, and then now it's at the point where it's like, I don't know, I probably should pay more attention to it, but I think like once you're told
Yeah.
bad news like 10,000 times,
Sure.
you'll cry the first time, then 10,000th time you're like, okay, I've moved on with my life.
It
So
is what it is.
it's kind of like a weird
Yeah.
feeling, and like literally I feel like every day for the past 2 weeks, someone's brought up to me the fact where they Google me and it's like says con artist.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
he just told me that
like,
this
maybe
morning.
I should
yeah.
care more. Like,
So I'm curious, what happened with your other companies? Like you have a team behind you, right? I saw your other podcasts, your other shows, and you have an entire team. For me, it took me years to get my team,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like you just got out of prison and boom, team.
Yeah.
You're ready to go, which is, I think is awesome. But what's happening? What's going on in the background?
Yeah,
What's
how'd you do
next
that?
for you?
I think it's like super crazy that it's been way easier to attract talent right now than it was before. I think once people like smell loose money, it becomes all about the money.
Sure.
And like with Fyre, we were just like, I just didn't know how to manage any kind of finances, right? So whatever we had, I was just like throwing at the door the same day. So if you were trying to get hired, you were smelling an opportunity. People were just like milking it and getting paid way too much and just like kind of taking advantage of the situation. And that led me to attract like people with bad intentions and just like didn't work out at the end. I think right now, when I'm brutally honest, like guys, I can pay like 20% of market salaries, but it's going to be like a crazy, crazy challenge. I'm actually attracting better people. And there are certainly people with like a lot of responsibilities and bills that just can't take that chance. But I'm finding some unique people that like aren't in a huge financial crunch right now. Where it's like, hey, fuck it, like let's go take the shot. Like,
Yeah.
the big FANG companies of the world are always going to be there to hire me. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like being completely honest too, I felt like when I also watched the show on Netflix, your team they didn't talk bad about you that much. And I know you haven't seen it yet, but it was like very surprising me, like they said they thought you were family, this and that. And I was just wondering, like, are you still connected to anyone, or is anyone on your team right now that was a part of that?
So my business partner now I've known for almost 11 or 12 years.
Oh, wow.
I dropped out of college after my freshman year, and he was taking a semester away from school to work at a venture capital fund. And so like he was like the analyst when I pitched him as like a 19-year-old, and they ended up investing in some of my businesses.
Yeah.
He went back to school and has gone like the startup route since. So I've known him for like on and off for over a decade now. So we've been tight and increasingly closer like over the years. As far as the Fyre team, it's been a total mixed bag.
Okay.
I literally like have a different phone number now, and I know like it sounds ridiculous, but one of my like more impactful like investors, advisors of my earlier companies, I saw and heard from for the first time like last week. And when I got together with him, he's like, "Oh, well, your phone number is different. I've been trying to reach you." And like, I don't know if that's actually the reason, but maybe it is. So it's like just trying to understand, I guess, where everybody stands. But
Right.
I think like some people I never want to talk to again, and some I'd love like emotionally just to have a conversation with. So yeah, it's just been trying to figure it out.
Do you think they're avoiding you, or do you think they're just don't know, or
I think like
moved on,
just done or something.
the smart people that like have remained close to me, and their feedback has basically been from the ones they've talked to. People are just kind of like sitting on the fence right now and just like, waiting to see what happens. They're like, is he gonna fuck up again, and like, or is something really good gonna happen in like 3 months, and we're gonna kind of fall over the fence and kind of want to get back involved. So I feel like a lot of like the third parties are still on the fence and just like, he's saying the right things, but is he actually like meaning it, or is he just trying to do a festival and takes people's money? So it's like people are trying to understand, I think, what's next. Yeah.
Is Fyre Festival 2.0 coming?
I mean, it has to, right? But
You gotta hurry. 'Cause
it's gonna be called Fyre Festival 1.5 because the first one was only half done. But
interesting.
but, I can't do it yet. I'm still like on supervised release and whatever it is for my sentence. So like once that's all done and I'm clear to move around,
I feel like you have to redeem yourself.
I
think it'd be pretty funny to see.
It has to happen again.
Yeah.
It has to. Like, and I don't want to be a festival guy in terms of my career, but in terms of like a life challenge, no matter what I do or don't do, like I need to have the greatest festival of all time. I think people will go to see what I do wrong, and
That's true as well.
and
Yeah.
when I do it, like it just can't be about the money. So like hopefully either I do well in tech or just like find good brands I want to get involved and like not have the ticket prices like be the determining factor whether somebody comes. And find like an interesting mix of people who are supposed to come before, as well as some like younger, new like entertainers and talent. And I think just like we got to go and do it, and like fuck the money, fuck trying to make it a business. Just like as a life goal, it just needs to be a moment. And I feel like Fyre Festival 1.5 like will be that cultural moment if it's done correctly.
And how soon? How soon do you want to do this?
What's the timeline?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like not in like 6 months. It needs to
Right.
I
By
gotta-
April? I mean, it's
we have 3 months. Like,
Just in time. Just in time.
let's go, Billy. Let's go now. Let's cut this now. Let's bounce.
And were you also thinking Bahamas or somewhere else?
I just love it there so much, but the reality is there are a handful, more than a handful. There are a number of workers there who are owed, and whether it's 100 people or 200 people, I just don't really know yet. And so I need to get them paid back, and I have an idea what the number is. I think it's like a few $100,000, but like obviously it's going to be hard to really determine like the validity of a lot of people's claims, right? So it's like it's a process, and trying to go through that. And like if someone says, "Hey, I was a carpenter and mowed 20 grand," like it's like we're trying to like dig through all of that and like figure out what the reality actually is. We just had like no records, and they were paid on a weekly basis in cash, so it's kind of like it's hard to realize like who is and who isn't owed. But there are people who are owed, and I need to get them paid back. And that's why I called out Ja Rule to an MMA fight where all of the proceeds go back. I propose that 50% goes to restitution and 50% goes to the Bahamas. And just based on talking to some people like in the fight business and like what's owed to the Bahamas, they're fairly confident that the fight would generate enough to pay everybody in the Bahamas back in one night. So, I did 4 years in jail, so I think you can sacrifice one night to step up and pay back hundreds of families who need the money.
I'd love to see that. I want to see that fight.
It'll be fun as hell.
Yeah. No, I think everyone want to see that, especially if it's going to a good cause, right?
Do you think people would pay $20 to watch that?
Oh, I think people would pay more to watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe because we're involved in that scene, but I don't know. it'd be awesome.
The creator space right now is very heavy in fighting, boxing, MMA. It's like even if like maybe you're not the main event, but even the show below, it's
Sure.
like it's easy. It's like everybody's fighting right now. Everybody in Europe and in the US. So yeah, I think that's an amazing fight. Come on, you got to do it.
Crazy.
Where's the camera? You got to do it. I want to see the fight.
I think we should put the pressure on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get a bunch of creators to call them. I thought like literally all for a good cause. I won't have any involvement like in the financing. I will show up. I will win. Hopefully,
knock them out flat.
But like,
you think you could
let's
win?
make this entertaining and fun and make a fun event around it.
So have you spoke to him since all of
No,
this?
I haven't.
No. Okay.
We got to get a hold of him. We'll make this clip viral, and then we're going to get it sent. Let's do it. I want to see it. Okay, awesome. How do you think, I kind of want to touch back a little bit on the Bahamas people, because it seems like you really care about these guys. And I've seen it, like, I think the Full Send podcast, you were saying that, like, one of your goals is just to pay people back, right, and come out as a great entrepreneur. How do you think they feel about you? Like, do you think they've seen this? Because if I was one of those workers, I'd be furious, right? And it's just like, I don't know. I know that it seems like you're passionate about paying them back and like you care about them, but what do you think they think? Like, what do you think they think about you?
For like all I've done wrong, and I think there's been a lot of like coverage on all of that. While I was certainly totally wrong on how I handled the employees across the board, whether it was a Bahamian or someone here in New York, they're just like super supportive and just like super good people. And I'd count a handful of them amongst like my closest friends. Two guys who I know well, flew up here the day I got out of jail and like spent a week with me in New York. It was both their first times like ever being here.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
That was pretty cool. Cool to see like the
Yeah,
island
yeah.
guys like
Yeah,
walking around downtown Manhattan. That was great. So shout out to them. But like just like love the people there, and certainly some are mad and deservingly so. But I think a lot of them have just such warm hearts, and they're very pragmatic. They're like, well, if you're going to come and make good on what's owed, then we welcome that. So I think like they're willing to extend that chance. I'm talking about like the people
For sure.
of the country. So it's like
Right.
I want to make them.
So it's not
See
like
that.
they're after you right now. Like you think if they let you fly to the Bahamas, that there would be like some search for Billy, like we got to find him, or
So I was told that like first of all I can't travel without permission just due to like my U.S. rules.
Yeah.
I was told I'm not welcome in the Bahamas by the authorities
Oh,
at this
Oh,
point.
interesting.
And just from like hearing from friends there, it just all comes back to like there are people who are owed. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm not going to try to go or ask to go or try to do any business there at all. Like my idea is like how can I pay back people who are owed?
For sure.
And then if I can just go there like as a friend and as a person, like awesome, and like we'll see where that goes.
Absolutely. I think that's a good way to start too,
Yeah.
just get them paid back and just show that you have good faith, and hopefully the authorities will, eventually allow you to go back in.
I think the good thing is that like the numbers owed there just aren't unreasonable, and
Yeah.
like a fight is a great example, but there's other things that I can do too to start taking steps there. So like,
Sure.
let's get that paid, and like let's get that paid by April. So we'll set that April deadline. But instead of the festival, it's to pay everybody back. Hold me to it, Bahamas.
Have you been training for the fight? Or
I have.
You
yeah,
have actually.
yeah.
Nice.
I'm ready to go. I really prefer MMA, but I would do boxing if I had to. But I'd
well,
has to be
Billy,
boxing,
we've
man.
been training for a few months, so
Really?
maybe we set up a little spar training match.
yeah, I'm so down. Yeah.
Let's do it.
We actually should, yeah. But boxing is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot more attention to boxing. So
You think?
I
So-
know, yeah.
So going back a few steps in the conversation, how long were you in? Was it jail, prison? How long were you in?
Yeah, 4 years. June of 2018, and my sentence officially ended August 30th of this year. So yeah, around 4 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And when did the fire? Like, what was the day of the event of the Fyre Festival? And then what was like, the moment the night's over, right?
Mhm.
Everyone's asleep. What are you doing?
So the festival was scheduled for Friday through Sunday for 2 weekends. However, in order to get everybody there in time, we had planes starting to arrive early Thursday morning, the day before. So we basically had like an opening DJ who's just kind of playing or scheduled to play for Thursday. So the issue came with a storm Wednesday night, and then planes arrived Thursday. I think like 1,000 people had gotten there by late Thursday night, and it was canceled like, midnight Thursday night going into Friday morning. So I was there until Sunday. I got back to New York like super late Sunday night.
From the documentary, there's a lot of people that are saying, like, oh, Billy fled. Billy's on his yacht. Billy's in his mansion. Billy's back in New York. Where were you
Dude,
after?
the craziest thing is like showing the media. A very, very well-known tabloid who's based in New York was live streaming me on their homepage, like x.com, right? I'm like live stream video. And then it's like me standing in a milk crate, like dealing with maybe like 100 angry people.
Yeah.
At the same time, I get a call from a reporter from the same tabloid saying, we have like, I don't know, trustworthy sources saying you ran away on your yacht with cocaine and models. And it's like,
As you're being live streamed.
I'm like, go to your homepage. Like you're like your company's live streaming. Like we don't care. We trust our sources. And it's like it just like showed that that just showed me like the truth. It doesn't matter at this point. It's like whatever's gonna sell, right? And like the idea that I stole $1 million and ran away in a boat with a bunch of like hot girls and coke is like a way cooler story than like then I haven't showered in 3 days and like my ripped J. Crew T-shirt on a milk crate. Like so crazy.
And when did you get back to New York?
So that was happening Thursday. Everybody flew back on Friday, and so I flew back to New York on Sunday. So I stayed for 2 days.
Oh, okay.
So you were at the island the whole time?
I was, and I was staying on a yacht. Travis Barker from Lake 182 was afraid to fly at the time. Yeah. I think his new girlfriend changed that, so we had to get him a boat to take him from Miami to the island. But obviously, Blink 182 canceled like a day or two before, and I literally had nowhere to stay. So like it was like 30 of like my core team and I like on Travis, Barker's yacht. But we never left the dock, so we never left.
Yeah. So for me, right, I've gone to jail once, but it was only for like 6 hours. It was a stupid like college party thing. There was someone else 17. They arrested me, and so
Sorry.
And yeah, I know, right?
Every hour is bad.
Yeah, it was, and that's what I was gonna say. It's like just 6 hours there. Like my mentality, like them taking my phone and taking everything from me and my possessions. I felt like the world didn't matter anymore, and it's like I'm just some lost, animal in, a cage, and they're never going to hear from me again. I couldn't imagine 4 years. What was in your mind? And maybe it was more, maybe it was less, but what was in your mind that whole time? And you were in solitary too, right?
Yeah, something really fucked me up yesterday. And basically, so I tried doing a podcast from jail. They basically have these pay phones you're allowed to use with 15-minute phone calls.
Yeah.
So I had like this podcast company set it up where they flew the podcast host in for like a day and a half, and I just called 15 minutes, like used all my monthly calls like in a day and a half to record the show. The trailer came out on my Instagram, and they basically came and grabbed me an hour later, and I went to solitary for 7 months for that.
Wow.
I heard
That's wild.
I heard yesterday Tiger King, I never saw the show, but obviously I saw like all the daytime talk shows talking about it when I was in jail. Tiger King did a podcast. I listened to it yesterday. I think it came out in the past like week or so from the payphone. And my first reaction was like, fuck, why isn't he in trouble? But then I listened to it, and he was telling a story about how he was in transit, and they basically stripped him down naked, tied him to a chair for like 8 hours, and beat him up until he got unconscious. It's like, oh wow, like that never happened to me. So this kind of shows like the craziness of like of the system, and like that scared me last night. Like listening to that, it's like, fuck. It's like once you break the law, which I totally did, and there's no way to argue it. Anything is fair game, whether it's 7 months for a podcast or for him, getting beaten up in a chair, like tied down naked. Like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like
that's
that was
insane.
just so hard to hear me listening to that yesterday. It's like, fuck, like I am just so scared of these people. Like as soon as you break the law, then nothing matters. Like then it's on. Like
there's no more human rights, huh?
And I fully I believe that innocent people aren't generally targeted. I'm sure there's like, outliers there, but nothing I know about. But it's like once you've committed a crime and once you're labeled like a scumbag, then it's game on.
What exactly sent you to prison?
So this is like something that no one believes, no one understands. And whether I could or couldn't have, I was not charged for the actual festival. I was charged for lying to investors. So even if the festival worked and the villas were as advertised and every artist like was there, I still would have gone to jail because I lied about the company, its revenue, its my finances, like everything to do with money to investors to get the money. So no matter what, the crime was committed before like the actual event happened.
Gotcha. So it didn't matter if the event was a whole success.
It wouldn't have mattered. Like the crime was committed and like that was wrong. So
I mean, if you would have generated the right amount of revenue, no one would have cared. But
well, is that I don't think that's what he's saying though. I think he's saying that even if you generate.
I think I was in the position where it's like I needed to be reset, right? And like to learn that like lying to investors is just not the answer to grow a business. So I'm like sitting here, I'd be worried now back to my 24, 25-year-old self, like if the event worked and even if investors had made money like at that period of time, would I have lied about the next one to get $100 million to go bigger, right? And like would have hurt more people along the way. So I think it was almost good in a certain way that the event didn't work in terms of I needed that time out that like jail provided. So like I think like jail did work for me in some ways.
And what did you tell these investors? How did you get everyone on board?
Yeah, so like I think that's the most fucked up part, and it's while I was wrong and feel bad for the guy I might have met like a week before the festival who invested, what like kills me are the people who had been backing me for 5, 6, 7 years, and the trust and relationship we had built over that time. So if I go to them and say, hey, Fyre is doing really, really well, like this is the biggest thing, like up your ante for this, and they had to trust me because I had proved myself over a number of years, like those relationships are the ones that like I lose sleep over. So while I was wrong to allow the new person like a week before, and like, yes, that deserved a punishment, it's like, I think the moral and ethical issue are the people who like trusted me for so long that I fucked over.
Yeah, that makes sense. Billy, the cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
the Twitter post that went viral. I don't know how old I was, but
Yeah.
I saw that on my Twitter feed.
So what I think I should do is a cheese sandwich pop-up like store. And,
Yeah.
like, do a tour where I just like cook cheese sandwiches for everybody.
So grilled cheese.
Yeah.
Is that- I think I heard you on a different show talk about that. That wasn't actually what was being served, or was that being served?
What happened here, I think like my immediate retort to that, like I was in jail when this happened, and like everybody was like, dude, what the fuck, why are you serving these cheese sandwiches? Like they like made me a cheese sandwich for like lunch when I first got there, like all this shit was happening.
No.
And I'm like, guys, you think that we had 1,000-ish give or take people at the festival site that night, if 1,000 like 25-year-old douchebags were served cheese sandwiches in styrofoam, wouldn't there be at least 1,000 pictures? Why was there only one picture of the sandwich?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So that was my answer.
Why did that picture go out?
I think like Andy King has told this from some of the stuff I've heard recently, but 2 kids got high and they basically went up to Andy King, and the food was decent. It wasn't amazing, but like we had like shrimp and meat and like we had real food there. And I think they went up to Andy King and said, like, all we just want is a cheese sandwich. We're high as fuck. So he went and cooked them a cheese sandwich.
No.
And then that turned into like, you know, a bad thing. I think he was just trying to make these 2 guys happy.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that. But all I know is that if I served 1,000 kids cheese sandwiches after promising them some like luxury food, you would have more than one picture of like
that's true.
cheese sandwich. Yeah.
What's the total amount of money that needs to be owed back to everybody?
So I have a restitution, which is money owed back to the victims, which are technically the investors, and that's somewhere like between 25 and 28 million. I think it kind of fluctuates depending on like they're trying to figure it out basically.
Sure.
In addition to that, there's the Bahamas, which I think is a few $100,000, and then there's the ticket holders, and I just don't know like what that number is at this point.
Yeah.
There was a portion of the money that was held in like various like escrow accounts. I think like my Stripe account got frozen with like 770 grand in it, like ticket holder money, like the day of the festival. Some of our like ticket providers had pieces of that in escrow. A lot of people like filed chargebacks, so I'm not really sure like where that stands.
Yeah.
So like that's gonna take some time to get a hold of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
I noticed, for the people in the Bahamas, have you guys been able to pay anything back yet?
So I paid since August 30th, I paid like $20K back to restitution, and that's basically just a percentage of all my personal earnings.
Yeah.
So like it's not gonna save the lives of any of the investors, but like it's a start.
Right.
To the Bahamas, like we have a couple of dollars that we've put aside for it. I think the next step right now is like really finding a trustworthy person to deal with there to basically administer the funds. Like I don't want to be the one saying, okay, like this guy gets paid and this guy doesn't get paid. So it's more of like, let's send the funds to like a trustee, if you will, in the Bahamas who can receive all the claims and then figure out how to distribute that.
Who's getting paid first? Is it the Bahamas or I'm assuming the rest of
Are the Bahama workers in the restitution,
They're
or
not.
is that
So
just
the
something that
restitution-
you just want to do?
It's something I just want to do. So the
Okay.
restitution are like the people who the U.S. I guess any investor who lost money is part of the restitution, and that I have to pay a percentage of all my income. So I make $100 today.
Is it almost like a garnishment?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So basically, I have to report all my income, show all my bank statements. Like,
Gotcha.
so like every penny is accounted for, and then a percentage of that goes to restitution. So.
Yeah, I also saw like on your pirate, like your new business you're working with, they do some stuff for the Bahamas too, right? Like they do some donations.
So we're just like, whether it's like our jackets that we're selling and giving 10% to the Bahamas, or like I'm like literally doing some cameo videos, like giving a percentage of that to the Bahamas. So it's like it's a small number so far, but we're basically trying to like grow that nest egg, and then once it gets to 50, 100K, like let's hire this trustee, give him or her the money, and just like work with them to receive the claims, start paying people. I just think it needs to be done fairly. And like I
Yeah.
get calls
Yeah.
twice a week from someone in the Bahamas saying, "Hey, just give me some money and I'll figure it out for you." It's like we're not doing that. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna do this totally transparently. Find a third party, pay them to do the job, but like I should not be deciding that you get paid versus somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. And like with Pirate, I really like that shirt, by the way, like the embroidered. I
Yeah,
like the
thank you.
logo. I saw your guys' branding and stuff.
Yep.
But what is Pirate? Like I saw your guys'
Mhm.
like wave stuff, and
Yeah.
I was just, I guess the website's a little confusing.
Yeah.
At least
So
to me. But
So basically, Pirate's all about this concept of like we did a great job of bringing together these really interesting people on these island excursions. So I want to kind of get back to those manageable trips, but then
Mhm.
make it totally technology based.
Yeah.
okay.
So we've been testing some like live stream stuff where we rig like an underwater reef, an island with 360 cameras, live track where everybody is, and then
Mhm.
create this like virtual representation of that, or anybody from around the world can watch what's happening on the island and actually like buy in and impact the lives of
That
people who are
makes
there. So that's like the long-term vision
That's
of,
awesome.
of Pirate.
Yeah.
But there's short-term stuff too. It's like I'm not allowed to like raise venture capital at this point right now. Like
Right.
maybe not allow is the wrong word. It's like not something I want to do at this point.
Sure.
So we're
Mhm.
trying to fund it, and so I'm doing a lot of like marketing consultancy work. We're building like various softwares, like the Wave software you saw,
Right.
basically just like to pay the bills and just
Sure.
like create shit along the way.
Right. So like tech company /
Mm-hmm.
travel kind of stuff. Yeah, because I saw it had like the little button that switched from virtual to real, so you could pick which one you wanted to do. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going on Julia Fox's show on Monday in New York,
Okay, cool.
and I'm going to show her this thing we've been building for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We're calling it Mate, but it's spelled MAIT.
Yeah.
And the idea is that
Mate.
you go on this little app that we're designing right now. You describe your ideal girlfriend or boyfriend, like height, eye color, hair color, personality, whatever it is. We generate an AI picture of them, of like your ideal partner.
Oh, my.
Once you approve the image, we then find you 5 real people in your city that look like that
Oh,
person.
wow.
Oh, interesting.
So, and we charge $5 for it. So it's like,
That's so
and we
funny.
provide a
That's
whole
awesome.
list of like real people. And then if you want to pay more, I'll like reach out to them and set up the date for you guys. So, so I'm going to like show Julia Fox like live on the show on Monday and try to create some content around it.
It's like Bella Portia's songs, "Build a Bitch."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really cool because you just skip the swiping. It's like
Exactly. If
just
it's like,
5.
tell us like exactly what your dream
Yeah.
person looks like. Okay, now here they are. And so like our team just like try to work on the algorithm has been like looking at our past boyfriends trying to figure out like some similarities. Not one of them look like the last one. They're all like showing from like
Yeah.
Russian pilot to Kanye West. It's like what's the similarity here?
So what happens when there's no matches? It just well, I guess there's no one for me.
Yeah, I don't know yet. we'll see.
Sorry, I still have so many questions about the Fyre Festival.
Yeah.
I've watched it like 10 times. It's been
Damn. So
from
how
the
can we make a watch event like a live stream interesting? Like you guys have seen it and I haven't, which like needs to happen before I
Yeah.
see it. It's like how can we structure that to make that super cool?
Dude, I think that at the end of the day, I think the reaction needs to be on you.
Yeah.
And I think that if there's a way to bring any of the people that were part of the
watch with me.
documentary to watch it with you, I think that's what would go.
Well, let's figure it out. Okay, so who needs to be there?
Andy King needs to be there.
Okay. Who else?
I think
Someone from the Bahamas.
yeah. That one guy.
Yeah. I
He's,
wish I knew his name.
it looked like maybe he was coordinating some of the workers from there. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
JR.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he
Um,
like gave him a call too while he was
Yeah.
doing an interview.
That's what we need to do. Bring up a few people from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring Andy King. Who
And
else?
if you do it on YouTube or Twitch, like, and people are donating, I mean, you could.
It all goes back
donate
to the
that
Bahamas.
back
It
to
all
Bahamas,
has
right?
to go back. Yeah.
So is there a donation feature on?
Yeah, you
You-
can set it up in so many different ways.
Dude, let's do this. We just like announce it, right? Pick a day. Pick a venue.
Exactly, right.
I think it needs to be the day the Fyre Festival was supposed to happen.
So April of this year.
Yes.
That
If it's
is
too soon,
awesome.
it's too
Interesting.
soon.
That's not
But
a bad time,
I don't know. I
No,
think
that's a good idea.
There's
it'd be
just
fun, and then obviously get a bunch of content creators to show up. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's what builds a lot of things right
Yeah.
now,
That's a good idea.
especially. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this platform called Twitch. I don't know how much it's been since you've been out. And if
It's
you
been
know
around
about
for a
it.
minute, dude.
Yeah, and Essential was because I don't think we
No, I know, I'm joking,
you
I'm
know.
joking,
So,
I'm joking.
but it's like everyone donates on there, you know. It's like just donations all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody, I don't know why everybody's just super nice with donations, which is great, you know, great for creators. And then just
Yeah.
post a lot of clips.
So what if we did it like April this year, like the 6-year anniversary? Would that work, or is
It's
that
been
like
6 years.
yeah? Or should we do it sooner?
Holy cow. No, I think that's fine. I think the documentary came out years ago at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's still one of Netflix top
Yeah.
documentaries. Like
Mhm.
it's watched over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Um,
I watched a couple times.
yeah. So I
It's
think,
a 5-year documentary anniversary like now, so we could do it soon and just like label it as that.
dude,
Yeah,
it would
it's
be.
true.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It'd be cool if we had like some other like event tied with it.
Okay.
Obviously, like it'd be amazing if you had the boxing event with it, but
Yeah.
it's pretty
It probably
pretty
wouldn't
close.
happen
That wouldn't
together,
happen,
though,
right?
Yeah.
But that might entice like a lot of people.
No,
Just,
yeah.
like,
Okay. I
jump
want to
on
put together a list of characters who we could invite to this.
it. Yeah.
And what should the setting be? Like just like a room like this where we're all watching, or no? Like a podcast style setting?
Yeah. I mean, for me.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think there'd be a lot to figure out, but I think if it happens, that'd be crazy. Because even watching the podcast,
Yeah.
knowing you haven't watched it yet,
Yeah.
I just want to see your reaction. I want to know what's true and what's
Yeah.
not
That-
true.
That's
Because
what I'm
Yeah.
curious about.
Netflix documentaries are always fixated to be,
We could probably get a cool
entertaining
liquor
and-
sponsor too for this to raise some more money, right? Like,
yeah, exactly,
we all have to
exactly.
drink a bottle of whatever when we're watching.
Yeah. And if everyone's in the same room too,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's gonna be some fun reactions and interactions. Right?
Everyone has a different point of view of it, you know. It's
Exactly.
like Andy King may be like, "No, that didn't happen." You're like, "Yeah, it did. Remember
Yeah, we're
this,"
all-
you know.
we're
And
all-
it's like
yeah.
you guys are going back and forth about it. I think that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned
Settle.
Andy King. There's obviously a very, very viral clip that has surfaced
Mhm.
over the last few years with Andy King, basically, obviously stating that he was ready to suck some guys, or who was it? He was ready to suck a dick to get something through the
Water.
through-
Water is
The
water.
water.
Yeah.
It was the water. What actually happened?
I don't know. Like, I just remember being in jail and like some guard comes up to me and he's like, "Did you order some guy to suck some dick to get some water released?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" He goes, "Tell me right now." I'm like looking at this guy. I'm like, "Is this a setup?" And like, it probably was a setup, right? It's like right after the documentaries came out. I'm like looking at him like he's crazy. And like the story just took a life of its own. And my recollection of the events was that some like local wayward, customs official had seized or frozen X number of pallets of Evian bottles of water. So I don't know how much it was, but he was demanding like $100K plus to release the water. And like, one, we couldn't afford it, and like, B, I'm not going to pay some guy for like to release our water. Like,
Yeah.
I would have gone to jail for a lot longer if I'm paying some customs dude. So
that makes sense.
I'm like, not happening. Like, we're not paying this guy anything. So I called in Andy and some other guy who was working for us at the time. I'm like, go do whatever it takes, but we're not paying this guy. Like,
Yeah.
whatever happens, like, go figure out how to get this fucking water released. Like, tell them we're going to cancel the festival if people can't drink the water. And
Like,
I think
do whatever it takes mentality.
I think like I probably said in jest like, go suck this guy's dick and get this water released. Like, go suck up to him. And I think like
It was taken out of proportion or taken too literal.
Andy probably ran with it a little bit, and I don't know what he did or didn't do. But
Yeah.
no, he certainly made a story out of it.
Netflix mentioned that they tried to reach out to you to be part of the documentary, to kind of
Yeah.
have your voice in there. Was that true?
Yeah. And actually, I agreed to give them footage in exchange for giving 10% of the proceeds of the film back to ticket holders. They never did that. So,
really?
yeah, and they used the footage anyway. And I have the signed contract.
That was in writing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
So Netflix did. Wow.
The producer behind it, but yes.
Okay. I see,
Yeah.
I see.
So I agreed to basically transfer ownership of footage to them in exchange for 10% of the proceeds of the film ticket holders.
Wow.
They said they were going to also include that as like a text at the end, like Billy
It
agreed to
was
allow
not
us to
on
use
there.
footage. They didn't do it. They didn't give any money back. So, and so that deal was actually between Fuck Jerry and me. Fuck Jerry was producing at the time, so yeah, they just like lied and didn't tell him about that. And Fuck Jerry also offered me money to interview in it, and like I turned it down, and they said they never offer any money, so they're just full of shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, but
I
they used that footage that we agreed for them to use in exchange for 10% of the film going back to the Bahamas.
Wow. I was curious how they had.
Yeah.
That footage is what
Yeah.
made the documentary. Like the inside scoop. There
Yeah,
was.
we had
It was
paid,
like
like-
there was someone there.
I think we paid
$400
$400,000 to people who shot that footage, and we have receipts of all that.
Yeah.
And I did a contract with them or whatever, saying they can transfer it over and they can get a piece too, but 10% of the film had to go back to ticket holders. And it's completely the CEO of Fuck Jerry is one who signed that deal, and just completely bullshit. So
Damn.
yeah, it
Dang.
sucks.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
they're scumbags.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Wow.
I'm curious to see what your reaction will look like to the documentary because there's these
Yeah.
details that nobody knows about, but you're just
Yeah.
criminalized. So,
like this,
you
that would be
know?
great in a live event. Like pull the contract out. Like, here, motherfuckers, yo, Fuck Jerry.
Yes.
You use this footage, right? And you didn't own it, and you said here that you would give 10% of the film. Where did that money go? And they were pissed at me for not interviewing, but like You know, they didn't.
Yeah, but they didn't go through on their end.
Yeah, they didn't go through on their end. It's like the interview was not part of that deal.
Wow. Do you feel that there's a lot that you have on your end?
Mm-hmm.
Because like that alone, like that's something that nobody knew about.
Yeah.
Right. Do you feel like there's a lot of things that you hold yourself that you can almost kind of tell yourself like, if only this came out. Everyone looks at me as the bad guy, but if only this came out.
I was the bad guy for sure. Right. I think the only thing that like gives me like a smirk is that if you have a lot going on in the business world and you're not in like the entertainment creator space and a documentary is coming out about a colossal failure, you are going to run away, right? So I understand if some like Instagram personality or a marketing agency is going to interview because that's their business.
Yeah.
But if you're not in that business, you are not participating. So that basically removed 95% of like the management team from the picture. And as a result, a lot of the characters who did interview were ancillary people who weren't really involved in what was going on.
Oh.
So my big thing is like, what if they had the real stories?
Yeah.
And that's what gets me like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm curious to see what the real stories are. You got to have that watch party, man. Soon,
Yeah.
April, the 6th
Yeah.
anniversary.
I think that would just go crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got out of jail in August, you said?
August 30th, my sentence ended, yes.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't know you were out for
Yeah.
like honestly until the Full Send podcast
Interesting.
came out.
Yeah.
Are you wanting to build up like a following online? I've been seeing obviously you post TikTok videos, Instagram videos. Like what's your plan with social media right now?
Yeah, so I was trying to just be like super respectful of the process. I was sent to a halfway house on March 30th and then did some home confinement and then finished up August 30th. But I basically didn't want to be seen anywhere, any place. I wanted to cause like no attention while I was finishing the sentence up.
Yeah.
And, like literally for 2 months, like no one even knew I was in this halfway house. And then like the news eventually broke, not because of me, because of, you know, somebody else getting released, and they kind of checked into me too. And like that kind of broke that I was semi out, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then like press started calling as the sentence was nearing, asking for comment, and basically decided to do like a New York Times story the day it was released.
Yeah.
And like that was kind of like, and then
Yeah.
pissed a lot of people off, and like want to try to figure out like how to balance, you know, needing to build a business with respecting the process. But at the end of the day, I'm like working on like tech behind the scenes, but doing media will give me business opportunities. So it's kind of like the double-edged sword there.
That makes sense. Okay, I want to bring it back, and then we'll move forward again. So you get arrested.
Yeah.
You get bailed out,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start selling some phony tickets.
Yep.
Walk us through what I don't
Why?
understand
I want to know
why.
why. Yeah,
Yeah.
why?
I'm a fucking idiot.
Because I feel like, because I don't know. I try to picture myself in that situation. I feel like after everything that went wrong, why, you know?
Yeah, I'm so stupid.
Is
So
it
bad.
desperation to make money immediately, or what?
I was just convinced that it was all about the money at this point, and it was so far beyond the money. It was like I broke the law, and like sure the money was part of that, but it was like there were a lot more issues as to why I broke the law, right? So I was in this mindset where, okay, it's about the money, and I spent one night in jail. I am super, super scared of that place. I need to go pay everybody back. And I didn't start like just like the festival. I didn't start out with the intention of, you know, taking people's money for tickets, but just got in over my head. It was like in a terrible, you know, operational mental standpoint, and just like once again just like fucked up, and I was so wrong. And like that's like the one thing I would go, if I could just like put myself like not get bail and to stay in jail, I would have done that. I would do that now. I wish I like never got bail. Like obviously I was going to get bail as like a non-violent like offender, whatever. Like there's no reason why I would never get bail.
Yeah.
But going back, I would have like made myself stay in the jail. Like, okay, start this shit now.
Yeah.
Stop. Like you've
Did
lost.
that-
You're done. Like
Did
sit
that
the
make
fuck
your
down.
sentencing worse at all?
For sure. And like
did.
Dang.
it's impossible to say like how much worse it made it, but like it had to make it significantly worse.
Yeah.
So there's just no doubt about it.
Yeah. Wow.
People were saying that you were like delusional because you're like, I'm not going to jail. And according to the documentary, right? It's like, what was going on in your mind? You said it was all just about the money, paying people back. You think you could like bounce back with all the money you owed with these like phony tickets?
I think like if you look at SBF right now, he's like has similar mentality. Like I'm not going
Yeah.
to jail. Like I'm going to start a new token. It's like it just sounds fucking ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But and like his proportion is just like way bigger, like way different situation than mine. But like the mentality I think is similar, where it's like entrepreneur mindset where every problem that happened, it was on you to solve. And I thought I could solve the problem.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that like once a crime of this magnitude is committed, it's just like way bigger than me at this point, right? And like
Yeah.
there is no solving the problem. Like
Yeah.
you need to serve justice for like what you did, and I just didn't understand that. And like that's where I fucked up.
I was actually going to bring up SBF and all the stuff that's been going on with FTX.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on everything that's been happening with Sam Bankman-Fried?
Yeah. So like, one, I just don't know what happened. Like exactly right. I don't know if anybody really does, but like,
Right.
if he legitimately took X billions of dollars of customer funds, like he's toast. But at the same time, trying to like start a token or like raise money like right now, it's just going to make things worse. And I would probably be doing the same thing as him if I were in his shoes right now. Like not right now, but like 6 years ago. But like knowing what I know now, it's like, dude, it's over. Just like you need to stop. And anything you do now is like making it worse. And like when you're dealing with a crime of that magnitude, you can't solve the problem. The problem is you.
Yeah.
Do you think that Sam Bankman-Fried is a fraud, is a scammer?
I really just don't know the details. Yeah, so
Yeah, that
reserve judgment on that. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah. I feel like Sam Friedman is like you, but happening now, right? Maybe to a bigger magnitude. And so, what would you tell him if you were in his situation, or what would you do?
I mean, is he guilty or not? I think like that's like.
So you don't know like the story of what's going on.
I know the story, but I'm
it's
saying
going through
like,
the process right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
He hasn't been
Yeah,
proven
yeah.
any, either or, and I think there's a lot to unfold.
There's a lot to
I
unfold, right?
I think a lot is going to come out here over the next few weeks, but
Yeah, I think he kind of said it like if he knows he's screwed, then it's like you basically say just stop, right? Like
I think just like stopping is probably the best bet, unless he's like totally screwed. Like if he legitimately stole $8 billion, he's gonna go to jail for 40, 50, 60 years, close to life anyway. So I guess why not try to like go for the 1 in a trillion miracle? But anything short of that, like just sit down and stop. Maybe he just like is wildly guilty and he knows he's done for life and he's trying to pull one last miracle, and like then you kind of get it, but like you're still fucked.
yeah, it's true.
as the festival was going on, there was several people that were trying to point out the festival as a scam. It's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to be what they're marketing it to be, right? And as you guys get closer to the event, you guys notice that some of the information that is going on in maybe some of the executive meetings or the management meetings starts getting leaked, right? Did you guys figure out who was leaking that information?
No, I don't know, but there was definitely like a real time, leak from the executive meetings, which is kind of crazy.
And you never figured it out?
No, I never figured it out. I think like it all kind of just goes back to it's like attracting. I certainly had some good people, but I was attracting shitty people, right? Yeah. They were in it for the money or for the fame or for like the Instagram likes or whatever it was. Yeah. So people were there for the wrong reasons for sure, and that was my fault.
Sure.
Yeah, how does that make you feel about like I feel like I don't know how I would have reacted if I had someone in my team that's right there in the executive.
Yeah. It was crazy, right? I thought I was in like entrepreneur god mode, and I wasn't. So it was like super frustrating to me. It's like I'm trying to solve everything, and like I can't figure out which one of you four motherfuckers is like is selling this information. I was like a fool, and it was super frustrating.
I saw that Elon Musk had a similar situation happen, but I don't know if you know how he figured it out. But what he did is he sent everybody an email
and like changed like one letter,
little letter, or like a
the
little
canary trap.
Yes. No,
it's
ended up working, and he fired the guy.
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
Yeah,
so I didn't hear about this.
I've never heard about this.
So basically, imagine you receive an email, right? Every single email, there's one basically microspock,
like an extra space, or
like an extra space,
or a comma or whatever. Yeah.
There's one difference in every single email that got sent out. But to the eye, it looks the same.
Yeah, so whoever forwards it to the media, like they can just like look back and run through the system and be like, okay, like it was yours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's genius. Wow.
So it worked out.
Yeah, it's called the canary trap.
Canary trap.
Yeah.
Dang, that's genius.
Yeah.
I did not know about that.
No, but I was not savvy enough to like give like 4 pieces of misinformation.
There was way too much going on. I don't think I would have even thought about that.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
That makes sense.
What are funny guys? I have like 6 models and 8 kilos like blow on my yacht. To like one guy, another guy's telling me like 3 and like 3, like and see what story gets out.
That's hilarious. So ourselves, we're very involved in the creator world. Cool. We help so many creators. And so content is a thing that we deal with every day. Hundreds of pieces of content that we're pushing through. What's your thought on the new wave over the last few years of content creators being able to, create content and be a top person.
Yeah.
Right. Especially because, obviously, from what we know and what we've seen, you're a big guy in marketing. You know what you're doing on that end, and obviously the way Fyre Festival was promoted, there was the orange tile, right?
Yep.
With all the influencers. What are your thoughts on I guess anybody just being able to create content and become a next star?
Yeah, so I think I need like 12 months to understand what's actually happening. Like I spent 4 years with no access to the internet. So I know social media for 4 years, and so much changed during that time.
Yeah.
And for a year before that, I was like on bail and like in a box and couldn't like do anything anyway. So it's really been 5 years of being like out of the world. I missed TikTok completely. So it's like just so much happened in the world that I wasn't around for. And to think that I could just come out and understand all of that in day one is crazy. I have like a long tail like marketing concepts that I think work no matter what the tools and channels are.
Sure.
But I need to understand the tools and channels first. So I just like started posting just like random like little bullshit just to kind of see what's going on out there. And I haven't like done anything massive, and that's on purpose. I just understand I need time to figure out like what works in these platforms, and then I can kind of tie my orange tile-esque ideas into everything.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What's your take on TikTok? Like just coming into it, like what do you think about it? Do you see it like as the biggest platform right now, or I don't know if you've like kind of dabbled in it?
I think it's interesting where it's almost democratizing the path to stardom in a certain way.
Okay.
And I think the entire entertainment industry of 10 years ago was built off of this like smoke and mirrors concept where there's a handful of like top tier agents or talent managers or executives who are like the guys, right? And they're the gatekeepers, and they'd find someone through some means and like bring them up and groom them throughout that process. I think TikTok is totally changing that. It's allowing anybody to become, A-level star without any traditional like push or players behind them. So I think like the concept is interesting, but I don't know, like now you have a whole generation of people who are trying to become like entertainers, right? So we need to kind of see what happens here. But like I like the idea of democratizing the access to it, but we'll see how it shakes it up. And I think that like a lot of these like major agencies and management companies are going to have to adapt. So a lot of opportunity there as well.
They already have to adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already here. So I have a question, right? In terms of the investors, and when you'd pitch the investors, everybody on the documentary said that you're a master salesman, right? You'd leave, come back with millions of dollars out of nowhere, snap, right? Do you believe that you're still a master salesman without the lying, or do you think it was just full on blown out just because you were lying?
So like the reason why we were able to raise so much money so quickly is that the majority of these investors had worked with me for 5, 6, 7 years, and they'd see me like eat shit for 5, 6, or 7 years. And I like tell people like you can take the smartest, guy or girl from Harvard who graduated last week. They can make a fake spreadsheet and send it out to a bunch of investors, and no one's going to invest. Like it just doesn't work that way, right? Like it was built off of many, many years of just like literally getting shit on a weekly basis, and them seeing me like keep going and keep responding and like keep slowly growing. So it was more of like me taking advantage of years of relationship building and hard work rather than like a single moment of like lying. So yes, the lying might have helped some, but at the end of the day, I actually don't really think it helped because I think the lying was just like so dramatic that it was too good to be true. And they weren't investing because the numbers were like so great. They probably didn't even believe the numbers. They were investing because, hey, we saw them work for 6 years and that's what we were investing in. So
interesting.
like the lying almost like probably forced me to raise less money than we probably could have if I told the truth, which is crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I scared away a lot of like really smart people with the lies.
Do you think if everything went well, you'd still be heavily involved with the Fyre Festival? You think you're selling what you own, or what's?
Yeah, I think the reality is like I just get bored super fast, and I don't think I ever want to be like a party guy for the rest of my life, right? So I can't imagine like this being Fyre Festival like 6 right now, and like me being that excited to do it.
Yeah,
it was more of like, hey, this is a really cool way to get access to the people who move the world in terms of like brands and products. Yeah. Like, let's do that through a festival. So I have no idea like where that would have gone.
That makes sense. So did any of the influencers that promote the event actually get sued?
I think so. The Fyre Festival entity was put into bankruptcy by a couple of the investors. So there's like a trustee assigned, and they sued basically a lot of the influencers who got paid. And I think, they gave back like 10 cents on the dollar or something like that. So they gave back a couple dollars, but yeah.
What were you guys, if you don't mind sharing, like what kind of numbers were you guys having to put out to attract, some of the people some of the influencers that were promoting the event?
So we had 30 artists total for 2 weekends. 28 of the 30 were paid in full. 2 of them were paid for the first weekend, not the second weekend. I think we ended up paying like 4.7-ish million to music artists. So I don't know how that compares to other festivals, but like that was the number actually paid there.
Yeah.
In terms of like the talent for posting and marketing, I have no idea what the total is. I think the biggest cost there were the trips. So we were every other weekend for 6 months, like 2 months prior to the announcement, 4 months after, we were hosting people on the island, and that could have been like anywhere from $200,000 to $4 million for a weekend, right? So it's like, that was all across the board. And that wasn't like necessarily talent fees. It's like cost 200 to host 200 people, including like managers, staff, assistants, like us on remote islands is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Like the boats, the planes, the island rental fees, like
yeah.
shit adds up.
Yeah.
They said that you lost access to the Pablo Escobar Island.
Yeah.
What happened?
So we've been working with an island called Norman's Key, which is totally incredible. And basically these older guys own it, and they've been planning this like super small high-end like development there. I'm not sure like what they've done now since then. And they agreed to let us use the island for the festival. But then as soon as we announced like the Pablo Escobar thing and the video went viral, they just got cold feet and said, get lost. If you land here again, we're gonna fuck you up basically.
They said that you purchased it. Was
So-
that just a lie to like convince people to come, or
We had a deal to buy an island called like Little Norman's Key or Saddleback Key. It was like an island just north of Norman's Key.
Yeah.
It was like literally like 50 yards of water in between the two.
Okay.
It was much, much smaller than Norman's, but like super beautiful. Different owners, but we had a contract to buy that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But then once we got kicked out of Norman's, like we just couldn't, basically said fuck off and left.
So were you guys on a different island then?
We ended up moving to an island called Great Exuma, which was like not a private island. It was like still, I think like that 3,000 or 4,000 full-time residents, so much, much bigger than Norman's.
Yeah.
it shows in the documentary that it was photoshopped to look like a private island. Whose idea was that?
I don't know if that's true. Yeah, I haven't seen that part. I
Okay.
think like the island was still beautiful. Like wasn't like Norman's Key, like where literally it might be 5 or 6 full-time residents. It was still like a small island in the middle of nowhere. Just like had a real runway, had maybe 10 restaurants, had a couple of hotels. So it wasn't totally remote.
Nobody got injured or died or anything at Fyre Festival. I saw I mean, I was watching everything as it was coming down. Twitter posts, Instagram posts. It was going crazy.
Dude, that's a crazy thing. Like that's literally why I canceled it on Thursday night. I was told from various people that 3 people died. I was told like 2 people got shot and 1 person got bit by a pig. And like, it's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
as ridiculous as it was, I believed it too. I'm like, oh fuck. And like, I think every challenge, I'm like, okay, well, here's a solution. Even if I didn't really believe in this solution, I thought that I would believe that we could solve it. Once I told 3 people died, I'm like, all right, canceled, like right in the spot. I felt like my entire body just crashed.
Yeah.
And like all of the energy that I have like been working off of immediately just like left my body, and like I just hit a wall. I'm like, okay, threw my hands up and said, this is it. This is over. So whether that was good or bad, I got that misinformation. It happened. And that was the final straw where it's like, okay, I can't solve this anymore.
Sure.
And thankfully no one was even remotely injured. But yeah, that's good. We hired 30 doctors from some like Pennsylvania area hospital. They flew them down. We set up like literally a triage center, and like the worst thing, someone was dehydrated. They gave them an IV and they were fine. But like no one was hurt at all.
Wow.
Yeah, because I know.
But one of the craziest moments, like in my douchiest moment, like a month before the Fyre Festival, I posted a Snapchat like, today I bought ... an ambulance, and like we literally bought an ambulance in New Jersey, had an intern drive it to Florida, put it on a barge in Florida, brought it over, and I'd be the only one on the island, so we would cruise around to like dinners and shit, like blast the sirens. We had like 20 of us in the back. We'd like pop out, like go to these island like bars and clubs and like, in our ambulance.
That's funny.
We thought we were so cool.
There's people that flex Lambos, Rolls Royce.
Yeah, it's
you
like
were flexing
it's like
an ambulance.
You spent 200 grand in some like Maybach, right? I spent 40 grand on an ambulance, an extra 20 in the best like siren package, and now I think I'm the man. It was the coolest car ever.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
That's the right way to do it, though.
Yeah.
But when everyone was like kind of going crazy, like grabbing mattresses and running to different tents, what were you doing? Like everyone was saying like, oh, I got like barbaric or crazy out there.
Yes, like the craziest thing is like we literally, I think the day of the festival, we had upwards of 800 people who were employed. hundreds were like brought in a couple of days before to be anything from like bartenders to like concierge to security, but like almost 1,000 fucking employees.
Wow.
And I felt like, okay, they're all here the day before. Everybody's like kind of figuring things out. Then the guests started arriving. Shit hits the fan, and like it's like I literally couldn't find one employee.
Wow.
It's like I don't know like what happened, and it was clearly partly due to my management skills, and I think partly due to people just fucking disappearing. But like I'm standing there on this milk crate. It's like I am paying 800 motherfuckers. Like where are you guys?
Here.
Like I can't find one person, and that was like the scariest feeling in the world. And I had like 3 or 4 investors who were like following me everywhere I went. Like at that point, like.
On the island?
They had flown in for the festival, and they're like, okay, shit's not going well. So like they wouldn't leave me out of their sight, right? So they were like tailing me, and then I just couldn't find one employee. I'm like, where the fuck is everybody?
Holy
and that was the most like harrowing feeling ever.
Wow.
It sucked.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
scary though, right?
Like you're just there by yourself.
Yeah, it's like where the like.
And they were saying that people were like starting to get aggressive, like they wanted to attack the workers because of the money owed. Were you like, was anyone going after you at this
So
point?
basically, one of the guys who flew up here to see me, who was pretty senior member of like our local team, he just goes, "Fuck it, I'm becoming full-time security guard." And then like, so he was there with me the whole time. So shout out to Ozzy. He's like, I'm just security now, and like he literally saved my ass like 3 or 4 times, and he slept on the deck. At the dock where like the yacht was, Charis Barker's yacht was parked, and like literally slept there, making sure no one came on the yacht for like the next 3 days. So yeah, he was awesome.
So you stayed on a yacht during that night, or?
That night I did, yeah. It was like literally 30 of us packing the boat, and then Ozzy was like Ozzy and Killer were like 2 of our local guys. Were literally sleeping on the deck outside, making sure no one came on.
Killer, I would not want to run into that guy.
So Killer's amazing. He refuses to do any media. I think he earned his nickname through nefarious means over the years. Older guy now. He was a boat runner for maybe some of the previous owners of the islands in his younger days. And now he's just like a spear fisherman. And like you tell him what you name the fish you want. He's like super skinny, kind of like slinks off the boat, and it's like he's negatively buoyant. He's like sinks to the bottom and like comes back up in like 3 minutes with like every fish you want on his spear.
He's lunch.
It's like, Killer, how the fuck did you do this? Like no one understands how he accomplishes this, but he's amazing.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, he has like, like one gold tooth, barely speaks, and like super nice guy, and like,
yeah.
Just, Killer is Killer, and like everybody's just like scared of him.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
There was a few people or a few Fyre Festival employees that stated that Amex was suing them for some of the debt that was owed. Were these charges that they were putting on their own personal Amex card, or was it?
So like, I fucked up there, and I think like in the couple of months before, we were just like looking for money for anywhere. Yeah, I'd been banned from Amex like years and years before. Yeah. But so one of our employees got us like all Fyre Amex cards, so I used that one. And one of the other employees basically just kept upping the limit on his own card, and we were using that too. So we were just like doing whatever we could to pay the bills. But
you've been banned from Amex, you said?
Yeah, dude, it's literally got to the point where like I had like X number of debit or credit cards, and I think for like the 2 to 3 months before the festival, I never had a debit or credit card on me. Like,
really,
it was always like various employees always had my cards. These are personal cards, company cards, you name it. Wow. Like, literally, like I couldn't even go and like, buy a beer from the restaurant myself. Like, I never had any debit or credit cards on me. Wow. And like I was totally like just running around, people paying. I would call someone, hey, like I owe this restaurant, like wire them money, like, what's my credit card number? Like tell it to them. It was like a mess.
And I mean, during that, I didn't know that. Yeah. But during all that, like, did any other employees, any other higher ups in the company, like, did they know the financial situation that was going on in
I think the
behind
crazy
the scenes?
thing is like no fewer than 20 people had access to every single one of my bank accounts. Like all my like funds were totally commingled, and that was completely wrong. But like I would say maybe I had 3 personal accounts and like 4 different Fyre accounts, and 20 people had passwords to all of them. And it's like, I would call someone and be like, hey, X, wire $200K to fucking this company for the tents, like right now. Yeah. Like which account? Like whatever has the money, I don't fucking care. So it's like it was always like the same like pot, and like I literally like had the least access to all my shit. So as crazy as it was, it was like sense. I wasn't like in a back room like, okay, like no one knows like what's in our bank accounts. Like everybody knew at all times like what we had.
I have a feeling that when you watch the Netflix documentary, you're going to be really pissed off at how a lot of the things they say based off of what you're saying isn't true. because they state that nobody knew what was going on, nobody knew the financials, nobody
People
had
started
access to the bank accounts. Like I think even that was stated.
crazy. My employees even started hiding money from me to like protect me from myself. It's like they're like, all right, like he forgot to log into this one, and they would like transfer money to that account, and like I didn't know it was there.
Oh.
And then like a bill would come in and be like, fuck, we can't pay it. And like somehow it would get paid. I wouldn't even know how, and like it all like they literally like would hiding money from me, but it was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
What was, I mean, as we kind of wrap this up, I mean, what was your biggest takeaway from the mess that got created?
Everything in life that we think is like has to operate a certain way is all meant to be broken, right?
Yeah.
I think like one example is I woke up, Ja Rule had some like nightclub gig we booked for him on some Thursday night in New York, and we took the entire team and we all just got hammered. Like woke up super late on Friday morning, and at this time we were buying something for the tents from China, not the actual tents, but some part of it from China. We owed him like $1 million for this, and they're like, guys, if we don't get the money today, like there's no possible way we can make this deadline. And like we actually had the money in our account at this point. Like, okay, we'll just wire you the money. But like, no, the wire is going to take like until Tuesday or Wednesday to get from New York to China. Yeah. We need the money today. It needs to be a credit card. So at this point, like I only had my personal. This is before we had the Amexes of the employees. I had my personal credit card, had like a $14,000 limit on it. That wasn't going to work. And the debit cards, the max you can spend on any debit card at the time, I'm not sure if it's still the same rule, is like $99,999. Yeah, it's like you couldn't probably spend more on the debit card, no matter what we had in the account. So like it wasn't going to work, and we had like X number of accounts. Like we tried to figure it out, like wasn't going to get to that $1 million mark, and like this Chinese like manufacturer like wasn't taking no for an answer. So I called this one investor of mine. I'm like, X, I need a fucking credit card with $1 million limit on it, by the end of the business day today, or else we are fucked. He's like, God damn it, Billy, you motherfucker. He's like, he cursed at me for like 30 minutes, hangs up the phone, calls me back a few minutes later. He goes, meet me outside X. And one of the biggest like consumer banks, in the U.S., he's like, come meet me at their corporate headquarters. Bring Ja Rule. I'm like, all right, fine. So I called Ja. I'm like, yo, we got to go. We're both like hungover as shit. Like I'm literally like in like a stained like hoodie. Like I'm a mess, right? Like I'm hungry. I'm fat. Like we pull up outside the corporate headquarters of a bank that everybody here either uses or knows, or everybody listening knows. And they take us up to like, one of the top floors, and like there's literally like 10 like people in suits. Like there's like the young kids like who are my age who are like scared to like fucking move, and like the head of their wealth management division meets us there. And they're pitching me on like the wealth management division of the bank. And so it's me, my investor, and Ja. They're serving us like these little like steak sandwiches and cookies and shit. I'm stuffing my face. Like, I feel like they're like looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like looking at my investor like, what the fuck? How is this gonna fucking fix my credit card problem?
We're on the time delay right now.
Like, dude, like my phone's blowing up my pocket. My employee's like, Billy, what the fuck? Like they're all freaking out back at the office. I'm like, guys, give me a second. So my investor goes to the bank, guys. This right here is the future of technology. And I'm sitting there eating more brownies. To I'm like, what the fuck's happening right now? And he's like, starts pitching me, and then like all of a sudden he turns over to the head of wealth management. And they start pitching me on like why I need to get involved with their wealth management division. Like, we'll do this for you. We'll do this for you. We'll do this for you. Like, I let him talk. I'm like, guys, like, just not gonna beat around the bush here. I have a bill I'm trying to do like now in like 3 hours. I need to pay $1 million on my credit card. I currently bank with you guys. Can you increase my credit card limit to $1 million and I'll join your department? And so like they walk out, they huddle up, they come back in later with a bunch of paperwork, and they said, you're all set. So signed over their division. I left. I called. I took a picture. I had my like, I'm not gonna say the name of the card because it's gonna do it, but like it was not like a nice looking credit card, right? I sent a picture back to my guys. I'm like, go like pay China.
Send it now.
Yeah, the bill went through, and then like obviously didn't pay the card. So like, like a month later, they're calling me, yelling at my investor. So I ended up paying like $600K down on the card. I just checked my credit card statement, like my credit report statement, like a couple days ago. Yeah, I still have like $400K in that card. But like, I left that building, and I haven't paid it in like 6 years. But like, I haven't used it in like 6 years. I'm sure the card's canceled. But I left that building. I look at Ja, and I'm like, everything I've been taught about the world is wrong. Like, you're not supposed to be able to do what we just did. And like through all the lies I told, I literally didn't tell them one lie in the meeting. I'm sitting there like literally stuffing my face with food, not even saying a word. I'm like, listen, guys, I need $1 million credit card limit. So that was a wild moment.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So to finish this off, I kind of just want to know like what's left for you. What's next
Yeah.
for you? What can we expect from you the next couple months? Yeah.
Yeah, there's people that are saying this is not the end of Billy. We're gonna see him again. What does that look like?
So when we finally like unveil Pirate, the orange tile announcement is going to be the comparison, right?
Yeah.
So everything I'm doing now is like, let's hold back our big story, our big like announcement until I figure out like what the fuck happened with the world. Like, let me figure out TikTok.
Yeah.
Let me figure out like what's going on with like entertainment and marketing and content, and let me kind of build the machine behind the scenes and just like test little pieces here and there and like see what's going to go and put together the launch announcement. So Pirate needs to like be that lottery ticket, right? I need to make something that everybody wants to use. I need to make something that helps people and doesn't hurt people. I need to pay everybody back. So that's my goal, and there's only one way to do it. So let's get there.
Yeah,
Right.
that's awesome, Billy. Well, Billy, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Man, it's we've all watched the Netflix documentary so many times, all the podcasts, everything. So felt like we knew you before you came, but it's great to finally meet you.
You guys are invited to the watch event because you
Amazing.
inspired me to invite other people to this and make it a reality. So
No,
Yeah.
that sounds fun, and I'm really excited to see like everything for Pirate. So
hopefully next time we can do round 2 of this from the island eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once in a lot
We'd
to go.
love
That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be in for that. So
Awesome.
yeah, man. Where can everybody find you right now?
Just at Pirate Billy. So yeah.
Pirate Billy.
See my little test, and we'll see where things go.
Awesome, man. Okay. Well, Billy, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
David,
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Damien, thank you guys as
man.
well.
Yeah.
We're excited for this to air.
Thank you
And,
so much.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Boom.